Hello, welcome back to Developing for Dollars. My name is Mark Vasilius. I'm here with Hal Kersey from the Mady Development Corporation. We're sitting in a beautiful sales office, a sales center for the Markettown condos. We've touched on, Hal, quite a few topics outside as we walked around, and as you know, we're now in front of our big whiteboard, and I do my favorite part, which is I take off my jacket and I roll up my sleeves. And we get down and dirty, as we say. So I want to start, I guess, Hal, I want to start talking a little bit about some numbers or just some things that you threw at me. Now, you purchased the land in 2005, and I think it was for how much was it?
About $16 million.
$16 million. So, $16 million in what year?
Actually, we closed on it in 2007.
2007, but you probably had to do, as we mentioned, due diligence and different things. And
a considerable amount of due diligence at the outset.
Now, so obviously, like any good developer, before you bought it, you kind of had a good idea what you're going to put on it beforehand. You mentioned as well that there was originally going to be no residential component to it.
That's correct.
And so you submitted some planning and some site drawings, but they had to be changed?
Oh yeah, considerably.
Okay, so we're now, let's say, 2008 range, and you had what kind of money figures would we talk about even before some of those changes were done? Do you have an idea?
With the supporting studies and the applications and municipal fees and all the other kind of fees, to get the planning approvals that are required to build a building, probably about $750,000.
$750K. And then we had to make some changes. Now, we also understand on this site that there's 3 different owners. You're handling the construction side, but before we see any commercial development, we need to see the infrastructure being changed at Duckworth-Cundles interchange.
That's correct.
Because of, I'm assuming, the traffic studies that you guys and or the city of Barrie would have done to say, you know what, this site's going to generate huge amounts of traffic.
Well, and quite frankly, the traffic studies have shown that the background traffic without our development is what necessitates the widening of Cundles Road and Duckworth. We are, for all intents and purposes, generating traffic from the community or the background traffic that's there. So while we do contribute to a smaller degree, which we will be paying for certain amounts of it, it is a development charge and purely a city responsibility for the offsite works.
Oh, I see. Okay. So now, during the break, we discussed that obviously we've passed the financing. We're actually into the sales. We are going to be seeing construction starting when on the condos?
Hopefully in the spring, summer of next year.
2012. Okay, summer. So we've taken us, in terms of from 2007 to 2012, that looks like, what, 5 years before construction actually hits the ground. Are you comfortable enough to say that what kind of dollar figure we've spent before we even see a return on investment? Like, are we getting there yet?
Well, as I mentioned earlier in the previous segment, time is our enemy, and it's carrying costs with the $60 million that carries interest each and every day that we own this property. Yep. I would say probably from the beginning to now in carrying costs and other incidentals, probably another $2 million.
So do you have so 16, that's 18, we'll just round this up to, so 19, we're at about $19 million just to get to the site as we stood outside. Is that about right? Well, I mean, really rough.
We got to add in the earthworks and the on-site construction work.
Add away, my friend, add away.
We're probably at another $9 million there.
Wait a second, $9 million to get out and play in the dirt.
Yeah.
I should have been a bulldozer driver. So what are we looking at then? We're at 20, so we're at 29?
Somewhere in that area.
Okay. So 29 million, and right now we're not seeing, as we say, a shovel in the ground. We have begun just the earthworks. We are just going to be beginning the condos in the summer of 2012. But how can you, now take me, so again, we're talking a 5-year process. You've certainly mentioned 2 or 3 times that time is the killer. What issue was it that cost, that dragged it out? Because I should have wrote the number. The cost was $2 million, I think, just to carry it. Is that right?
That's correct.
So we spent $2 million in a 5-year period just to keep the project alive. That really wasn't for the planning and submitting and et cetera, et cetera. Was there an issue that just dragged it out?
Well, when we came to this project, as I mentioned, the roads are inferior and insufficient to support this development and background traffic. Okay. The city did a Class EA study that identified the widening required on Cundles Road. That took about a year. Okay. The MTO did a Highway 400 study, which probably took 18 months. So there's 2.5 years. And then beyond that, getting the money. Well, it's been the past year has been just doing design work for the stormwater pond, for the off-site services. So it's been a combination of city and MTO issues in getting the design done, getting the funding, getting all their ducks in a row, which finally we've been told is going to happen this year. It's taken that long to get that. We would have started as soon as we could back in 2007 when we closed on the property, but it's been since that time that we've been delayed.
So again, just for clarification, you know, the extra money that was spent to sort of keep the ball rolling, there's been a lot of players involved in this. And it sounds like a lot of it has been the infrastructure changes and I guess approvals, as we call it, needed to get this site so that people say, okay, you got your building permit. And is it the highway? Was it the highway portion, like the?
Well, it was a combination of the local roads and the infrastructure required to widen the underpass of Highway 400. Anytime you deal with both the municipal and provincial levels, it gets complex.
Okay, so I think that's where I think some people need to understand municipal, whatever, municipal. That's supposed to say municipal. We got two levels of government that somehow need to figure things out. You're sitting on a $16 million piece of land that you'd certainly like to move forward with, but these two levels of government needed to get their ducks in a row.
That's correct. While they've been cooperative, they move at their own pace.
And their pace is not our pace.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so we're now in the full sale stage right here at the Markettown condos. You guys are just going to be building out the condos. You're not going to be necessarily building out the Home Depot and the Loblaws because they own that portion. You're just putting in the infrastructure side. So what I'm going to do, Hal, is we're going to take a quick break and we're going to get right down and conclude with some of the numbers that have taken us to this level. We'll be right back on Developing for Dollars.